the difference between working with you and working with the other perfumers on this project was that I didn't brief you and then you came up with a scent. I told you the story of the brand and then you said, oh, I think I have something that would be perfect for this.
So when I was asked if you would have to create a fragrance that would be found 1,000 years from now and will remain forever, what would it be? And I was intrigued by the question, of course. It came back to my origins and my memories of my country of origin, Morocco, and also the scents that surrounded my childhood, and the orange flower was one of them, and the orange flower tree, which is the bitter orange flower tree, which is it's a wild tree that grows all over the place in Morocco, but where we use the fruit and we use the scent of the leaves and the extract of the flowers. And also we have cedarwood, which is another Moroccan tree, which is very emblematic of Morocco. The combination of the two, together with a very strong amber note that was that was created in the labs at IFF called Amber Extreme. It was that combination that was my original inspiration.
I love the idea of the scent that would be 1,000 years from now. That's really interesting to me. And also you had told me that it was kind of framing your life as a person, because it was one of the first things that you had smelled, what you just spoke about in your childhood, and then one of the most recent things that you had smelled, because Amber Extreme is a recent creation, right?
Right, it's a recent creation of IFF, and it was invented by one of our star chemists, Dr. Narula, and with whom I've had a long relationship and friendship. And so the idea was, how can we use combine the two, the power of that ingredient, which has those woody, ambery effects, and the softness and the beauty of my memories of the orange flower in Morocco.
I love that. As a matter of fact, if I may ask, because you're talking about first off, you're saying star chemist, which is interesting, because no one thinks about chemists as stars. And in your line of work, chemists are extremely important because they provide you with newness, right? And expectedness. And how does the birth of a molecule like Amber Extreme happen? And is it a conversation between you and a chemist at the same time?
No.
No.
The inspiration of the chemist is totally separate from my inspiration. The chemist thinks in terms of structures of molecules and in terms of paths to get to that structure. And it's kind of a mind game, a creative game of how to get a certain structure and how it will smell. And so for them to evolve to the point that they are able to create something like Amber Extreme requires tremendous amount of expertise, a tremendous amount of luck also, because you could do 1,000 molecules before you find one good one, and they found it.
So when this chemist starts working, is he trying intentionally to do something that is going to be ambery? Or is he trying, and then all of a sudden he has something that is interesting, and he goes to Carlos, and Carlos smells it, and he's like, "Ooh, great amber."
Usually they define a certain territory that they want to go after. And once they are in that world, you have to do better than anybody else in that world. But sometimes they have a lot of surprises, because the relationship between smell and structure of the molecule is not already elucidated. So people don't know for sure that if I design this, it's going to smell like that. So sometimes you have surprises. You could design something that is supposed to smell like, I'm just inventing a citrus, and it might end up smelling like a wood. But more and more they are getting knowledge. They understand that certain parts of the structure can bring certain types of smells, but it's never completely clear. In science, it's not yet completely elucidated.
That's fascinating. And what's your personal position as a perfumer as to natural versus molecules?
my main source of inspiration is nature. And nature offers us, you know, anything that smells good or bad, and that we can use. And if you look around, you have the woods that can give you the bark, and it can give you the leaves, can give you the fruits, can give you the flowers, and we extract all of that to understand nature. So for me, it's the main source of inspiration. And of course, synthesis is also very important, because once we create a product like the extract of a wood, we are able to analyze it and find out what are the main constituents. And once we have found the main constituents, we can reproduce that molecule in our labs. And then we can do variations on that molecule and maybe do better than that molecule.
Invent new things around that molecule.
Things.
Yeah. It's interesting because another difference between you and the other perfumers on the project is that because of COVID and the whole situation, we were not able to talk before. I'm talking to you now after having launched the project already. And so the conversation has started between the brand and the customers around natural versus synthetics. And one of the questions that I get the most on social networks, on DM, by Instagram and all that is this all natural? Because your brand is all about woods and it's about forest and trees. And so is it all natural? To which I always respond, no, it's not, it's a blend. And so I think what you just explained is very interesting.
Nature is essential in my work. But nature offers you so much to discover in a way, and so much to think about. And eventually you don't want to destroy trees like sandalwood to get the extract of it. You might want to just use something that reminds you of that odor. And so there is always a different tag on it. I think that the work that you have done is more natural than most, because you are using reclaimed woods that are in barrels, and you are using a saturation of organic alcohol in those woods, which means that to me is a natural extract.
Well, it's organic alcohol.
Anorganic.
Sugarcane organic alcohol that we put in the barrel. So indeed, it couldn't be.
It's an extract of a natural.
Yes.
When I was a student, I had a mentor, Mr. Shifton, who was a very famous perfumer of the time. And he once gave me a formula to understand how things were made 100 years ago. He gave me the formula of a sheep of Coty, which was made 100 years ago. Not the original, but something that looked like the way it was made. And the way it was made was with infusions of ingredients. There was no alcohol added to it. The alcohol came from the infusion of moss, the infusion of jasmine, the infusion.
Oh. And then you would
add a few synthetic notes to it, which were the synthetic notes of the time.
Like aldehydes or whatever.
Whatever it was. But the rest were infusions. So the alcohol came from infusions, from naturals, like what you are doing in a whole different way. So to me, it's a very interesting novelty that you are bringing, that it not only is a novelty for today, but it kind of speaks to the way that 100 years ago perfumery was made. So I thought there is a very interesting conjunction of events.